to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Latrobe, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Mrs. Delbert.
Here.
Mr. Kaiser.
Here.
Mrs. Kojak.
Here.
Dr. Lockland.
Here.
Dr. Moffat.
Here.
Mr. Music.
Here.
Mr. Palmer.
Here.
Dr. Zorch. Mrs. Mays.
Here. Thank you, Mrs. Latrobe. We're to the part of the meeting that is hearing of visitors, part 1, and this is a chance for anyone in the audience to make comment, or talk to the board about anything that's on tonight's agenda. If you'd like to address the board, please come to the podium and state your name and address. Seeing none. I will move for adoption of resolution number 143, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held December 11th, 2012, the committee of the whole meeting held January 15th, 2013. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes of those meetings, resolution 143. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That's passed unanimously. Solicitors report, Mr. Nagel.
Yes, before you look at resolution 144 and 145, a brief explanation. In both these cases, the exoneration is taking place because each of the properties involved was determined to be tax exempt for the year 2012, and through a quirk of the way the county handles it, it isn't reported until the year 2013. So this isn't something that you've just gone off on your own and decided to favor this person or that property with a tax exemption. These people were granted purely public charity status as tax exempt for 2012, and it's just because of the nature of the reporting that it won't be until 2013 that they are considered tax exempt on the rolls, and that's why you're doing this. So I recommend that you move on resolution number 144, school tax exoneration for Lincoln Highway property.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 144. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. That's approved unanimously.
I recommend you move on resolution 145, tax exoneration for the St. Stephen's A&E Church.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 145. Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brooks. Legislative report, Dr. Lockland.
No report.
Thank you. Education and planning, educational programs, Dr. Corano.
We will reschedule the curriculum committee meeting for February 12th at 5.
February 12th at 5. And I will move for adoption of resolution number 146 to approve the 2012-2013 out-of-state student field trip, and there is one listed there. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 146. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
As I referenced last week, we normally approve our out-of-state field trips in October. This is one that had gone through the channels but was sent back without getting the board approval. Came to the attention that it hadn't been approved, and since it was out of state, this is Kara Olecki-Leeker teaches the law class at the senior high school. This is her trip, and the purpose and the ultimate cost is there. But that's why it wasn't on in October. It wasn't because, this was last minute. It really was missed.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of adopting the resolution number 146, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes unanimously. And I'll turn it over to finance with Mrs. Up.
Yes, I'd like to bundle together resolution number 147, the treasurer's report for November 2012, Number 148, payment of bills dated January 16th. And number 149, accepting the local audit for 2011, 2012. We move for adoption of all three of those.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolutions number 147, 148, and 149. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
Move for adoption of resolution number 150, which is to award the E-rate telecommunications contract, a 3-year contract awarded to the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit, and a month-to-month contract to Wireless Works, an exclusive Sprint Nextel dealer for cell phone services. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 150. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
I'll move for adoption of resolution number 151 to accept a grant from the Community Foundation, the Education Fund of Westmoreland County in support of the sensory environment for children with autism and the 2012 Art Gala. It's a grant of $2,500.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 151. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
I'll move for adoption of resolution number 152 to designate a depository with the Slovak Savings Bank in Pittsburgh.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 152. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? It also passes unanimously.
Move for adoption of resolution number 153 to approve the tax collector compensation beginning in 2014 and going through 2015 as listed on the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 153. Any comments or discussion, questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
And finally, I'll move for adoption of resolution number 154 regarding Act 1. And this resolution says that the school district will raise taxes this year no more than allowed by the index. And we will not have to have a budget prepared in February. We will go back to the original schedule for budget preparation.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 154. Do we have any discussion or questions? No? We'll need a roll call on that, Mrs. Lander. Yes.
Mrs. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Kozak?
Yes.
Dr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Dr. Moffa?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. George?
Yes.
Mrs. Mink?
Yes, that is also approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Elder. Student activities and recreation, Dr. Lockwood.
I move for the adoption of resolution number 155, which is reappointing Patricia Fenton to the Latrobe Recreation Person.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 155. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
Also listed are the winter sports senior night.
Thank you, Dr. Lockwood. Property and supply, Mrs. Kozak.
Yes, I'd like to move for the adoption of resolution number 156, approving the Eagle Scout project at Backdale.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 156. Any discussion or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? passes unanimously also.
And I would like to move for the adoption of resolution number 157 to approve the lease of the school bell at 410 Main Street.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we adopt resolution number 157. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously. Thank you, Mrs. Kozar. Community Relations, Dr. Zork.
No report.
Okay, thank you. And I'll move for adoption of resolution number 158 to authorize participation in the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Joint Purchasing Consortium for diesel fuel and / gasoline for the 2013-2014 school year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 158. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Back to Mrs. Kozar for EWCTC Joint Operating Committee.
No report, our meeting's tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Board Policy, PSB, BA Liaison, Mrs. Heller.
Thank you. Last week, the board received copies of a corrected or revised policy number 610 in their packets, and I'll move for adoption for first reading of that revised policy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 159. Questions or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes unanimously.
And I'd also like to say that the policy committee meeting, the day after our meeting, we went over several policies and are expecting to present a combination of things we got from other board policies and have that ready for first reading in February.
Okay. Thank you. Transportation, Dr. Malta.
Just that there's a transportation meeting scheduled for January 30th at 3 p.m. at the Senior High Conference Room.
Okay, thank you. Technology, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you. The meeting minutes for our meeting on January 15th are in the packet, but I've done the ZCAT Academy, and we're remaining pretty stable. We hope to grow that next year, and I think that the folks on our side are doing a pretty good job. It's just getting the word out there and letting them understand that we're doing a very good job here with that. And our next meeting is February 12th, it's 6th year. Thank you, Ms. Mings.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Superintendent's recommendations, Mrs. Swider.
I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 160, which is the resignation of John Garbeglio for food service truck driver.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 160. Any comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 161, and there's an additional 14 people there. These are very important. We spoke at GLEA last week, and the concern is getting substitutes in the district. So as many as we can interview and get on the board agenda, it's very, very important. So we'd ask the board to move on resolution number 161.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 161. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes unanimously.
And I ask the board to move on resolution number 162, which is the substitute support personnel classified as listed on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt resolution number 162. Any questions or discussion on that motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
And under other business, I'd like to ask the board to move on resolution number 163, which is to establish the position of assistant to the superintendent. You have the job description in your folders that reference this position, assistant to the superintendent.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we adopt resolution number 163. Any questions or discussion? They need a roll call vote on that, Mrs. Langer.
Yes. Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Kozar?
Yes.
Dr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Dr. Mata?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Zordi?
Yes.
Mrs. Elder?
Yes.
Mrs. May?
Yes. That passes unanimously.
And I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 164, which is to appoint Dr. Georgia Teppert as the assistant to the superintendent effective July 1st, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we adopt resolution number 164. Questions or comments? Roll call vote, please, Mrs. Langer.
Yes. Mrs. Kozar?
Yes.
Dr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Dr. Mata?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Zordi?
Yes.
Mrs. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Mays?
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Excited.
I'm excited. And I'd like to ask the board to move on resolution number 165, which is to establish the position of Director of Teaching and Learning, which is an Act 93 position, and also there is a detailed job description in your folders.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we adopt resolution number 165. Any questions or discussion on that motion? All those in, we need a roll call vote on that also, Mrs. Langer.
Dr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Dr. Mata?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Zordi?
Yes.
Mrs. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Kozar?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mays?
Yes.
And I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 166, which is the appointment of Michael Parenka as the Director of Teaching and Learning, the position that was just voted on.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we adopt resolution number 166. Any questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please, Mrs. Langer.
Yes, may I ask who made the motion on that, please? Dr. Mata?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Zordi?
Yes.
Mrs. Elder?
Yes.
Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
Mrs. Kozar?
Yes.
Dr. Lockwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Mays?
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Prim.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate Dr. Teppert and Mr. Parenka. They have both served the district for many years, not too many. Many years. Dr. Parenka's resignation as the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction obviously left a huge hole in the administrative team. I would like to make note that these two positions are not in addition to. They are simply realigning the present staff. There is no additional cost to the district. So I just wanted to make note of that with the approval of the two positions. Both positions do not begin until July 1. We know Dr. Carino is leaving us in the middle of April, and there is a lot of transition that needs to occur to both of these positions. And hence, I appreciate the board moving on these positions as quickly as they have. So I personally am looking forward very much to working with both of these people as I have in the past. But it's really an exciting time, even though it's also a sad time. So congratulations to both of you, and look forward to continuing the administrative team. I'd ask the board to also move on resolution number 167, which is the school authority reappointment of Mr. Donald McGuire to the Greater Latrobe School Authority for a 5-year term beginning January 1st, 2013, beginning of this month to 2017.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, we adopt resolution number 167. Any questions or discussion?
Could I just say, as the solicitor for the authority, Mr. McGuire is a very hard worker on the authority, he does it as a treasurer, and he has really, really good insights and represents you very, very well on the authority. We're really glad to have him.
Any other comment? All those in favor of adopting resolution number 167, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes unanimously.
And last is the recommendation to approve resolution number 168, which is the non-contractual professional employee retirement incentive. Mr. Watson can certainly go through this and detail it for all of you. It is not any change from what was out there last year, but again, I recommend.
The agreement is, there's two requirements. The eligibility agreement, you have to have 20 years with the school board's retirement system, as well as 17 years with the school district. It offers health insurance, dental, and vision for 8 years or until Medicare eligible to anybody who submits a letter of or a letter of retirement by March 31st of this year. It's the same language as the two previous years.
Anyone have any questions about that? I asked the board to move on.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 168. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor of adopting resolution number 168, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That also passes unanimously.
And the upcoming school board meetings are listed on the last page. The committee of the whole is Tuesday, February 12th at 7:30, and the regular meeting is Tuesday, February 19th at 7:30.
We left hearing and visitors part 2 off of the agenda. So at this time, I'm going to ask anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board on any subject to please approach the podium and state your name and address.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
My name is Sean Austin. I live at 201 Potomac Court, and right over here in off of 30 in Wilmington. Okay. I'm here to talk about why it wasn't yesterday recognized in the school district as far as Martin Luther King Day. That's a federal, I should say a national holiday, and the fact that the students weren't allowed out of school, I don't think was right at all. And I wanted to know what's going on with that, or what's the situation.
And I can certainly address that, Austin, or excuse me, Sean. One of the things that I believe, and have had this discussion with the administrative team, is that generally on holidays such as you're referencing, it's not only Martin Luther King Day, but Veterans Day, President's Day, and so on. Oftentimes, school districts have off. Maybe their teachers work, but their students are out of school. And I do believe that there's an opportunity on these days to have students in school to honor the day through the educational curriculum. And so, in fact, last year, the Trib did a very nice article on some lessons that the district was doing specifically about the day and honoring Dr. King. And so, that's the thought behind it. I'm not sure, maybe we can have a conversation as to whether you agree with that. One of the things that always kind of upsets me is on days such as that when students have off, they sleep in late, go to the mall, and go to maybe a fast food place. I don't see much going on sometimes honoring the day for what it's supposed to be honored for. And I think institutions such as educational institutions like ours have an opportunity to really explore what the day should be honored for. In this case, Dr. King, but in any of those particular days. So that's the thought behind it. I don't know if you think of it that way, and I'd certainly be interested in hearing your thoughts.
I don't think of it that way at all. And I understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
At the same time, if the students don't, I guess, honor it in that way, I think that's more of a moral thing between the parents not honoring that. But for example, I went to a nursing home yesterday and did some community service. If my son was allowed off, he could have went with me, and we could have did that together.
I understand.
Basically showing him unity and actually showing what we could do in the community as a whole. And it wasn't just me as African American doing it. I was also with other, people from different races, and it was fun. I felt good about it. I'm pretty sure my son would feel good about it too. The bottom line is that was a day that was, he died for that, and I wouldn't be able to speak in front of you if it wasn't for things that happened in the civil rights movement. Now I know I'm young, but at the same time I know I'm a product of that. So I think that should be honored. I can understand where you're coming from with that, but I think that's between the parents, not.
And I think maybe, if you're willing, I'd be interested in sitting down with you and talking about ways that the district could ensure that those kinds of activities are going on when students aren't in school. I'll use Veterans Day for an example, and generally we have that day off. But if you ever have an opportunity to go to Bagley Elementary, and I'll use that as an example, but the high school has had activities as well. It's a wonderful opportunity for students to learn about what that day is about.
Okay.
And I think that's the importance of the national holidays. I don't think it's about students sleeping late and going to the mall. I think it's about things that you're referencing. And so how do you get that done? How does it look so that it's the vast majority of the students who are not in school that day are understanding the rights and liberties that they have because of what Dr. King did, or veterans did, or whatever it might be.
Right. At the same time, like I said, it goes off of the parents. I told you, for example, I did honor Dr. Martin Luther King.
No, I know.
And to show you that, that's something that is documented.
Sure.
And at the same time, that's something showing you that, I am participating in that event and the holiday and what it means. Mm-hmm. So, it's all on what, the parents do as parents.
I understand. I understand totally. So, like I said, maybe I know that there's schools that do like national days of service and various things like that.
Right.
It's a matter of how you manage that, how it looks. So, if you have some ideas and we can sit down and talk about that, I'd be more than willing to do that. Because you might have some great ideas that we could institute and really honor the day for what it should be honored as.
Okay, I can understand that. My one thing too is just like on that, because of that type of thing, because of like how we feel about it.
Sure.
The situation is, if a student wanted that day off, being the fact that it is nationally recognized, a student should be at least allowed to get off that day and not be penalized for it.
Yes, and Mrs. Holler and I actually spoke about that, and it would be. But I didn't have an opportunity to speak with you before now, but you're absolutely right. It's similar to the Orthodox Christmas on January 7th, and so with those kinds of days, so yes, it would be.
Okay.
But I think it's a far bigger topic than a mere
I feel it doesn't just have to do with African Americans.
Sure.
I feel Dr. Martin Luther King did a lot for a lot of people, not just African Americans. I'm just saying though, because of the fact that I am an African American, I just feel that, that was the day it was earned because, he did probably most work in civil rights, but if you do anything on documentation, Dr. Luther King did more than just civil rights. He helped out workers in every facet. So.
And in my estimation, for a student to be sitting in class and learning all of that on that day, to me, is sometimes the better way to get that across because you're referencing parents. Do all parents have the time?
Right.
To do those individual things. We would hope so, but we know it's not a reality.
Right.
So, it goes hand in hand. But if you don't mind and you have the time, I'd gladly welcome to sit down and meet with you and discuss those topics. I don't need to exclude the board from speaking this.
All right. Is there any way I can maybe get your office hours?
Yeah, I'll talk to you after this.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Anyone else wish to address the board this evening?
Christy King, 230 Sussex Way in Greensburg. I just wanted to put in one more thing on the Dr. Martin Luther King Day. My daughter came home from school yesterday. They watched a video. They had a discussion, and I know that the gentleman said it was on the parents. I added it up once. With the Christmas break and Easter break and all the federal holidays, there's like 3.5 weeks off. So while the kids might be able to do it with the parents, if you're a working parent, both parents work, I'm finding a babysitter. That's all I'm doing on any day that there's no school. So I actually appreciate it because she does learn more in the school, in the district, and I appreciate the teachers for teaching her, and she came home and talked all about it, and I thought it was great.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board?
My name is Scott Perry, 129 Hilton Road. I just found out that the European History and Literature course for next year is not going to be continued. I've worked with that program extensively some years, not that much over the past year, or 3 years, I guess, because of my job. And I know that I worked with Dr. Tepper on at least one occasion, and we had a good interaction there. And I just wanted to say thank you for providing the opportunity to work with those students and for providing that class, because I think that it did a lot of good things and showed a way that history and English was well integrated into the curriculum.
I can at least a little respond, and I know Mr. Cassio is here as well. Ms.
Sarah's here.
And she was the person who taught the English part. I'm not sure that we're not teaching European history next year.
Right, it was the history and literature course.
The language arts
right,
is combined.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, there's just been a discussion about morphing it into something that looks a little bit different. Doesn't mean it won't come back to that at some point, and it doesn't take away from the impact that it has had on former students. But I think at this point, there was a desire for one of the departments to take a break for a few years, and then it may come back. But I think European history is still going to be taught.
Right.
Is that correct, Mr. I hadn't had the final answer for that, but it will be continued to be taught.
Okay, just wanted to say thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Would anyone else care to address the board this evening? Thank you all for coming and your interest. Do you want to hear a motion to adjourn? Any other business?